DJ Stunts. I'm the owner and founder of Affinity Home Lending here based in Marietta, Georgia. I have the pleasure of talking with John Sock of Sock Mortgage. He's up in Michigan. John has chosen to bring his business under the Affinity Home Lending umbrella, and we're just here to discuss why. Hey, John.
Hey, what's up, DJ? How are you?
I'm good, man. Good.
Good.
I appreciate your time here, and I was wondering if you could just kind of tell us a little bit about your background in the mortgage industry.
Yeah, for sure. So I got in the industry around 2012, 2013. I started off just going the retail route. So I worked at Quicken Loans for a few years. Kind of got burned out on that side of things. And then I moved over to United Wholesale Mortgage, where I was an account executive and a team lead for about 7 years. And then in 2020, I decided to go out on my own and start Sock Mortgage.
Excellent. So you left United Wholesale Mortgage to start your own company. Can you tell me a little bit about what pushed you to go that direction?
Yeah, so I just was looking for kind of a different challenge, different career path. I mean, being in the office as an account executive, I mean, it's a total grind, day in and day out. And I think I was just ready for the challenge of going out on my own, being a loan officer, being a small business owner. Was really looking for some, flexibility, time with my family, more of a relaxed work-life balance than what I had before when I was used to. So, July 2020, I decided to take the plunge, and kind of rest was history from there.
So 2020, and how were the first couple of years of Sock Mortgage for you?
So there was a lot of ups and downs. So there was a couple of good things, right? So rates were really low because of COVID and the pandemic that was going on. So I was able to kind of build my book of business with some refinances and things like that. Later on, I moved to the purchase side once things, calmed down a little bit. But it was a lot of ups and downs. There was definitely success there, but there was also some, growing pains and big learning curve that I really wasn't expecting when I went out and started my own business. So.
Yeah. Well, it's a big leap to go out on your own and have that pressure and all the compliance and everything else that comes with having your own mortgage company. And not to step on your toes there, but what made you decide to take Sock Mortgage and then put it under the Affinity Home Lending brand and powered by Affinity Home Lending?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny, when I originally went on my own, you and I had a conversation about maybe doing this from the jump, in 2020 originally, and it was a few years before we even decided to do that. Ultimately, what it came down to is there's so much additional stress and pressure when you're running the business on your own, right? My skills or my main skill set is, relationship building and selling and all of that. The back end stuff, handling my own compliance, my own licensing, hiring a processor, hiring an LOA, getting, an office to rent out. All of those things were stuff that I really wasn't expecting, or I really wasn't, equipped to know how to do. So when we finally had the conversation and we really talked about it, it just made so much more sense, because you guys have built a great system, a great process, and you've got all these teams that are set for every single thing that we do. And I was trying to reinvent the wheel. For me, it just made more sense to go with something that's tried and true. It's already worked, and just kind of fit and adapt my business into what you guys already did.
Yeah. And what are some of those things that sets Affinity apart specifically, if you can expand on that for me?
Yeah, for sure. So as a small broker by myself, I was very limited in my options, my flexibility, things that I could do, right? So Affinity has allowed me to essentially increase that power, if you will, right? So I went from being able to do loans only in Michigan to we've got, 14, 15 different states we can do loans in now. I get flexible pricing, which I never had before. So when I was a small broker, right? I mean, it was lender paid or borrower paid, with Affinity being a correspondent lender. I have flexible pricing. I get better turn times. I get better rate options. I get more loan programs. And that's just kind of the upfront stuff. The back end stuff is great for me, right? Because I have I have a processing team that's all built up. They're trained. They're on weekly meetings to get better. So I don't have to worry about that responsibility, which was all on me before. Uh, we have an appraisal panel. So again, that gives me more control on getting the files through an appraisal order quickly. We're using the same guys over and over again. So we have, a much cleaner experience and a much more consistent experience. And then the biggest thing for me was the compliance and the back end stuff, right? I mean, I was paying for a company to handle my payroll, company to handle my compliance, somebody that was like on a retainer if anything came up, negatively, and you need an attorney. I was paying for licensing. I mean, anything under the sun that was one of those little one-offs that you didn't even think about, you have to have a company for, and you have to pay monthly just to maintain those things for the what if scenarios or the what if situations. Well, I have all of that here under one roof. And then the nice thing for me is, being independent, which I do, like that there are some pros to it, but there are some cons as well. The hardest thing for me is like, hey, if I was going through a rough file or I had an issue, I didn't have anybody that I could just pick up the phone with and say, okay, how do we get through this? What's your experience? It was me on an island with my team, and all those questions came to me. The great thing now is, we've got a management team, we've got a whole bunch of loan officers, we've got hundreds of years of combined experience. Where if there's something I don't know, I can reach out to one of the management teams, I can reach out to one of our top loan officers, and I can bounce ideas off them that I didn't have before. So it's really made me more of a well-rounded, company and loan officer than just me being scattered trying to do everything.
Yeah. So you also you were an account executive for UWM and in Affinity Home Lending. We started out doing a lot of business with UWM. They're a great company, fast underwriting, great customer service. They make it very easy for brokers and loan officers to do business if they've never been in the mortgage business. And that's part of the reason why Affinity started, really brokering to UWM 10 years ago when I started the company. But since then, we've, over the years have added other investors to do business with as a correspondent. And well, and I'll ask you, so with your experience working with some of the other lenders like Kind and Plaza and EPM and all, how is that a benefit as well to you?
Well, it's nice because again, I did come from the UWM bubble. So I was insulated on everything, right? I didn't realize what else was out there, right? I thought there was just one way to do things. And since we've kind of expanded and we do have these other investors that we can use, I have more programs and product offerings than I've ever had before. Where I was in a very, very niche box of like, hey, they need to be the perfect borrower to fit this perfect box, and then boom, we're going to take care of them. I've been able to open that a lot more and help out more clients, which is huge, right? It's good for the bottom line. It's good for our clients out there. And the other stuff with it is, again, flexible pricing, right? We've leveraged some of our other investors to compete for our business, which is better for our clients and better for our bottom lines, right? If we have investor A, B, and C, and they all have three different pricings, and we have a borrower that can fit in all three of their buckets, well, then we have opportunities to give them better pricing, which we didn't have before. And again, because we do have such a high amount of volume, it obviously gives us, like I said before, leverage to our advantage, where we can get better pricing, we can get flexibility, we can get trial runs on new programs and products that comes out. Me as when I was a small independent company, right? It was, you take your cake and you go, right? There's no in betweens. There's no breaking that up. There was no leverage on my side because I was a small company. Yeah, we did business, but we did not do it on the volume that we at Affinity do now. So
Excellent. Thank you. So if you had started SOC Mortgage and from the beginning powered by Affinity Home Lending from the start, instead of just trying to figure it out on your own, how do you think things would have been different?
that's a good question. First off, I'd have a lot more money in my bank account because I was paying for a full-time processor. I was paying for an LOA. I was paying, like I said, compliance company, licensing company, payroll company, and all that stuff adds up, man. I mean, you can't even believe how quick that hits your bottom line. So I'd have a lot more money in the bank. Two, I would have been a lot further along in my business than I am now. Not to say that my business wasn't doing well, but I was spending so much time having to do all the other stuff as far as managing a team, managing a processor, creating a process, doing all of these things that are just tedious. Those are time consuming things. And this business is so fast paced and everything's always moving that if you're not out there actively pursuing and getting business, you kind of get left in the dust a little bit. So I feel like I kind of stunted my own growth on building my relationships with my partners because I was so busy handling all the back end stuff. So I think it was a good experience, right, to kind of learn and realize like, hey, I don't want to do that ever again. But it was also, a tough experience to realize like, wow, if I had done things a little bit differently, I'd probably be much further along in my journey as a loan officer than I am now.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we're a little over 10 minutes, John, so I just wanted to thank you for your time and thank you for sharing your insights with us. It's clear that Affinity Home Lending, we do try to provide a unique and valuable opportunity for loan officers and brokers to grow their business wherever they are. And you out there, if you're interested in joining a team and learning more about joining Affinity Home Lending, you can visit us at affinityhomelending.com. We appreciate your time and look forward to hearing from you.